But we can go ahead and get started. So once again, just to reiterate, the main purpose of this video for this weekly stream, for this Sunday stream, is just to take a look at the counts that we have available. Just pure Elliott wave theory. And then once we get closer to these zones that we're identifying here, we'll kind of dive more into the classical and technical analysis side of it too, so we can really be aware of these pivots. But we've had some great success here in determining what was going on with the counts. I think the last major stream we did, we were waiting for this final push up right here into this zone for a potential running flat. And it had all the makings of it too, because we have this A right here, we had this complex B, and all we were looking for was just an impulse up. So we had a one, two, three, four. I remember last time we could not get this to finish right here, and that was the whole point of expecting another higher high. We couldn't get this to finish cleanly, so we were expecting another retrace, and then we were expecting another expansion up into this zone, and we got that because we had a lot of confluence here just for the counts, the zone, and also directional confluence because this could have either been a one or a two, or in all alternative, it could have just been A into a B. So same thing, instead of a two, this is a B, and we expected a running flat for this as well because we had the same makings. It was the same structure that we're taking a look at, just different counts. The only thing that changes is basically how we get to the zone that we're looking for down here. And we do have a lot of stuff that we can take a look at. So we've got a monthly order block from 12 to 9,800. We've got a weekly order block from about 10,9 to 10,4. And then we do have some monthly naked point of controls right here as well. We have a naked monthly right at the end of this weekly order block. So there's a lot of stuff right there that we can take a look at, and I believe we even have some fib levels down there as well. I think I might have accidentally deleted it. Let's see. No, we do have some fib levels. We had the 0.618 fib on the log scale, and we're expecting right now, since this move down has been so brutal, we have to expect that it's going to just go right through this point 0.5 and go straight to this 0.618 fib log because this is such an extended one. We can't really get this to finish. Well, we can actually, in a sense, and we'll jump into that later. But the main purpose of this count is to get us down to this zone. But getting there is all dependent on how this forms. So I don't think the two is in yet. This two right here. I think we still have to come down a little bit and then pop back up, and then we'll come back down. But what I'm talking about, the manner is how we get down here is we could still be kind of have a another four to come. So with this count, it's a one, two, three, four, three, four. But with this count, it's just a three, four into a five. So this one is going to be a little more extended in this one right here is going to be more extended in time because of the what we're expecting right here with this count because we already have this one right here. In all alternative, our one is just starting right here for this fifth wave. So we'll monitor this and then we'll try to see which one is more probable once we get closer to this zone that we're identifying. But we also have a second alternative here that we can take a look at. Second alternative is still saying that we have not completed this X wave right here. In our in our first alternative, the X has finished right here. With this count, we're saying this is still a flat. That this right here is still a flat structure. This X right here, where this is a into a B into a C, and we do have a complex B, which is characteristic of B waves and X waves. They tend to be more complex, and it's a matter of the same thing. So I I don't think that this move is done yet. I don't think we have a partner leg for this leg right here yet. So just like with our alternative or our main and alternative count, we're looking at this as this two not in. Same thing. This is a B right here. So we do have some more directional confluence where we say a B or a two. We're expecting a C or a three afterwards. But it's all a matter of if this is done yet. And I still don't think this is done yet. So even on this, we would expect it to come back down, come up, and then come right down into this zone right here, right to this zero point 0.5 fib block, just like we were talking about. It can bounce from this zone if we were taking a look at this count. And if it does bounce from this zone and get back and gets accepted back into this area right here, essentially, we will be monitoring this count more likely over the other counts because we're not really expecting after this move up is finished, so after we come down and move back up, after this move is finished, we're not expecting to come back up here in the zone for a good while. We're expecting it to just accelerate back down. But if it doesn't, it comes back up and it gets accepted back into this range, then we'll be taking a look at this count. These ones also have different timings. So this one, we expect the timing to happen pretty much right at the end of the year. We expect a major pivot at the end of the year, and you know, even if it's not the pivot that we're looking for, it still could be a massive pivot. So we are aware on the larger time frame that this could just be a one, two, three, four, five. There's a lot of implications for this because there's two major ones. One, this could either mean that this was a B, or actually, sorry, it's a whoop, A B C, where this was actually a four. The only validation for this, once again, is this 2019 top. But if it comes down like this, there is still potential that we come up massively for that fifth final wave. Or once again, we're also aware that this could just be the start of a leg, or this could just be a B, and then we come down for a C. So, you know, the long term counts aren't clear yet. The midterm counts are clear, and the local counts right now are not clear, unfortunately. But that's okay. You know, we're trying to fit the pieces of the puzzle together, but we're aware of the possibilities, so we're ahead of the game. But what I mean by the local count, it's not that very clear. Is it could be a few things right now that we're looking at. So we had the finish of the mood down here, and we were prepared for it. We actually counted it. Actually, I think I might even have a screenshot here I could pull up. Ah, it's not even worth it. But we were fully aware of this whole count. We counted this whole impulse down. We even actually had it coming up into this zone perfectly. It came up a lot quicker than we expected, but we got this move and we got this move down as well. And we were expecting it just to take this weekly naked point of control right here. It did come down a little bit further than we expected, but we expected the move to end right here. We had beautiful confluence and wave degree confluence. We had a five of a five of a five of a one right here. And even if you break it down further, we even had a smaller five wave as well. So one, two, three, four, five in there. So technically it was a five of a five of a five of a five of a one. Massive wave degree confluence. We talk about that all the time. The more waves you have lining up, the higher the probability of pivoting out of that area. Now, just like I'm talking about, this two may not be done yet. I'm not sure if this two was done right here as a quick ABC or if this two is not done yet. The reason why I don't think it is done is because I can't get this to start as a clean impulse. Even if we want to do an expanding diagonal, it just doesn't really look that clean either. But I can't get this to start as an impulse to the downside. So that's the reasoning that we have a potential flat structure here that we're expecting, where this was just an A. We're working on a complex B, and then we have the impulse up for a final C wave to finish this too. It's it's still likely. We're just waiting for this final Y leg right here to play out of this X right here. It's just getting a little extended in time, but it's still very valid. When it comes to B waves, like I say, I talk about B waves where they are multiples of A. And what I mean by that is either it's usually like zero point 0.5 or 0.618 of A, or it's like double or quadruple or 6 times or 8 times the length of A. So right now, it's still okay. It's not a big deal, but it's just getting a little too extended. But once again, we the most important thing is here is we can't get this to start as an impulse to the downside. It just doesn't. I just can't get to start cleanly. We do have one more local count where this instead of a leg right here, well, it still can be an A leg, but in this count, we're looking at it either as a deep two or a deep zigzag. It's more likely that it could be a deep two than a deep zigzag, but it's still valid. And we talk about this all the time. First, we talk about validity, then probability, and then the right look. If it's not valid, we're not even going to worry about it. We're not even going to talk about it, but it's still valid, so we're aware of it, so we're going to monitor it. Let's see. Yeah, okay, I'll get to those questions afterwards, unless it's like specific to the counts I'm looking at right now. And once again, if you have any questions to like the specific counts I'm looking at right now, please just ping me and ask away. But if it's kind of other questions related to like TA, yeah, I'll answer those at the end of the this session. But this is what we're looking at for Bitcoin. Now, if anybody does have any questions, I'll just stop here really quickly in case anyone does have any questions for me. If not, we'll move on to Ethereum. Once again, we're aware of that this could be a 3 or this could actually be a minor 4 instead of a B, either one. And then once again, directional confluence. We've got more directional confluence on our counts, because this could be a 1 or 2, and then we talk about how it could just be A or B. But in this one, it could be a 1 or 2 in both of these counts. Let's see, is this a possible count, Larry? Let me take a look at what you got. Let's see, one, two, one, two, three, four, three, four. Yeah, I mean that definitely could be possible. The only thing I don't like about it is that your second, so your initial one, two is fine, but if we were looking at the intermediate three wave, that second one, two is too large in time for the first one too. It just exceeds in time too much. I don't think it's valid in that terms, in that sense, because when we look at wave degrees, the parent degree has to be larger in time than the lower degree. And in that case, your three wave, that wouldn't be the case, unfortunately. So let's go to Ethereum here. Ethereum's actually been hitting this pitchfork pretty nicely. It's testing the boundaries of it. But we kind of have the same counts as we do as we the same Bitcoin counts on Ethereum essentially, where this whole structure right here was just an X. This move down was a W. This whole move was an X, and then we're looking on the Y. We're still working on that Y leg right now. This was a one, two, three, four, five for an A leg. W, X, Y for a B leg. And now we're looking at a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for a C leg of a Y of a 2. The reason why we like this counts on Ethereum and Bitcoin, and just like with Ethereum as well, this could just be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then potentially a ABC bounce for a B, and this is just an A. That's why we like these counts because they can fit into the larger structure that we're potentially expecting, and it makes sense with our bounce. And it could also fit into a different structure. So this WXY, depending upon how high this bounce goes. So let's just say we have our normal B targets. Say let's say it comes down to this zone right here and it bounces up like this, and it's a clean three-way move up to this golden pocket. We'd probably look at this and be like, yeah, you know what, this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But if it just bounced pretty high and was a clean three-way bounce kind of like that, we would actually be looking at this more as a flat. And the A leg and the B leg of a flat can be a WXY, where we do have a WXY, and then we can have another ABC, which we would expect that because if A was complex, the B leg would be more simple, and then we come back down for a final impulse. So depending upon how high this comes and how it forms, it will determine our next likely count. If it bounces super high like this in a three-way move, most likely a flat. If it bounces more like this, most likely a zigzag for a B, and then we come down for a C. Yet, if it starts to just form like this, we'll be more confident that we actually did complete a 2 right here, a C of a Y of a 2. So we're expecting a big pivot here for multiple reasons. The next count, we're not too aware of it yet right now. Like I said, there's too many possibilities, but we're aware of the next pivot. It can fit into the larger structure in multiple different ways. So we're just going to monitor the counts, be aware of the pivots, and then once we're in the counts and more data has been received, we can make a better decision, a more informed decision on which one is more likely counts and which one we can expect more out of the other counts. So once again, we have validity, and then once we get more data, we look at probability, and then after that, we take a look at which one has the right look, which one is looking better than the other ones, and which one could help us determine the next move more likely. Now, there is a few alternatives we have here. Instead of a WXY, same with Bitcoin, we can have this as a potential WXYXZ. We're working on the Z right now. The only implication of this is that we expect this to finish no matter what. Like after this, that's done. That was a 2 for sure, or potentially a 4. There's that big debate. Are we at a 2 or a 4? We don't really know. But otherwise, regardless, we expect either a 3 or 5 afterwards. So it's not too much of a big deal right now, but we can make a better decision once we're in the trade later at that time. But with this WXYZ, this is saying that we're going to complete the move down here finally. So that's a large implication for that one. And then same with Bitcoin. We're expecting a potential flat structure here for our X wave. You know, another flat where this is a leg. It looks a lot more cleaner than Bitcoin, but we'd actually have to label it as our WXY, which but we have the count as such where this is A into a B into a C for a W, came down for a quick X, and then an A B C for the Y, and then we have another A B C So three, three, and then one, two, three, four, five, flat, three, three, five. So we're aware of this pattern too. It's a matter of what happens once it gets to the zone. Just like with Bitcoin, if it comes down to this zone and then comes back up and it gets like immediately accepted back into this range like this and is creating bullish market structure, we're going to be looking at this. So if it comes up and starts making a bullish market structure, we're definitely going to be looking at this right away. Especially if it makes a massive bounce right here initially, we'll immediately start looking at this. But if it starts to just accelerate downwards, then we'll be looking at this as a third wave, just like on Bitcoin. We do have some levels down here as well. We're really expecting for this zone. This is the major zone that we're looking at right here. Is the 600 to the 500, 475, pretty much right here, 450. So 600 to 450, that's where we're looking for this. And if it comes back down past this 1382, it'll pretty much invalidate this B. It depends on how much it comes back down past this. So if it just kind of like comes like that and comes back up, we'll still call it valid. Just like how with Bitcoin, how we had that, and Ethereum, how we had a time constraint where our time constraint was pretty much like right here, where we said it once it gets to this point, it's going to exceed the prior correction. But if it just kind of comes up right afterwards, like a few days afterwards, we're not going to call it invalid because it's still a valid structure, and it was valid. So these areas, time and price validations, you can have strict validations, but it's better just to have them as like caution or warning signs. Like once it goes past that time constraint or that price zone, it's just like warning. Like it's just letting you know, like, hey, like this could invalidate this for sure. So it depends on how much it goes past that zone. And unfortunately, this is such a large target zone. It's unfortunate because, like I said, you won't really be prepared for it unless we start seeing some really good acceleration. But even if we do, it still could just be a C leg instead of just being a one, two, three. And this leg would be the most important right here. This leg right here will really determine if this is a four into a five, or if that was a C and this is a one into a two. So this leg would be the most important leg right here, to be honest. I think it's more likely, like with Bitcoin, that we completed a one into two, and we're moving down for three into four into five. I think this is more likely. Let's take a look at ADA. Okay, so yeah, with ADA, we have this as completing a primary one. Actually, with ADA, I have it in a 1-2-1-2. So with ADA, I already have it completing its cycle one and its cycle two. Now working on the primary one, the primary two, and then we're going to bust on out of here for 3-4-3-4. But with this count right here, this is essentially A, B, C for W. Now we already completed our X wave, which was a massive triangle. A, B, C, D, E. This is where I have a few alternatives, and I can't really narrow down too much which one I prefer more than the other. So with this count, it's the most conservative, meaning it's it's going to finish a lot quicker than the other ones, and it's not going to go as deep as the other counts as we expecting. Like I said, it's conservative. This one, we would basically just take back this whole weekly order block that we were bouncing around for a while. We would just take the whole thing back completely and then pivot on out of here. Once again, I'm not going to discuss this over and over and over again, but we're aware of the pivots that this could be just a B bounce, just like with Bitcoin, or an X bounce. The main thing is that we're expecting a pivot here once this leg is done, a big pivot. Now, looking at ADA, we can see this as a potential finished A leg into a B, and we're about to finish that C leg. Like I said, just take back this weekly order block right here. The second way we could take a look at this is a little more aggressively, where we are looking at this as a when aggressively, I mean we're going a little bit deeper than we expected. So with this one, we're the conservative target is right here, about 29-30 cents. The more aggressive one is about 25 cents, 23 cents, where we still complete an A leg, but this is a flat structure that we're expecting. We definitely plan for expanded flats first over running flats, but depending upon how this forms, if it kind of comes up like this, then we might have to plan for a running flats. So depending about how high this one forms, or if it's even done yet, this could still this still this could still be not completed yet. It still could be coming down like this for this two, and then we come up for the three. So the most important thing on this one is that we expect this high to be taken, and we expect this whole thing to be taken, but we're relying on fib levels at this time to really catch price. There's really nothing else here other than just fib levels to kind of catch price and our LA wave counts. With this one, this is the more aggressive one where, just like with our other counts, we're expecting either, if this is a third wave move, we're going to start accelerating down here pretty quickly, and we're actually going to come back down to this other weekly order block that we're expecting. Now, will we take the whole thing back? Uh, you know, Normally we usually expect a rejection first. With these higher time frame order blocks, we normally expect a rejection immediately, and then we expect it to take half of it or the full thing. So we're going to plan for that rejection first, just like with this one right here, and just with our other counts and the S&P. We have a lot of evidence where the daily, the weeklies, and the monthly order blocks, they get rejected immediately first before they ever get filled eventually. So this one is more aggressive. Like I said, we're still even working on this impulse for the one of this C leg. It just depends on how these legs form. We're cautious. Once we get the major pivots, those are the easiest, to be honest. It really is easiest getting these major pivot zones to go. But once you finally get those, this is the hardest part because there's so many different pieces to the puzzle that we can expect because this is a B or a two. There's so many different possible scenarios that could be happening right now. We'll just have to wait for more data and then make more informed decisions when the time comes. Now we do have a few more alternatives, and I think I did map it out here, so we can just go ahead and show it, even though I said I wasn't going to. Where this was a one, two, three, three, four into a five, and then we have that B bounce, and then we come back down for a C. So I actually did have that mapped out, so we'll go ahead and show it. But major area that we're looking for is basically right here, 30 cents. And then second target zone is about 23, 25. And the next one is about 17, 18 cents. So this is where we're looking for. Uniswap, let's take a look at Uni. Uniswap, I have it's completing a primary one into two. It's very young in its life cycle. It's only about a few years, about to be, yeah, just about two, just a little over 2 years. How we look at this leg, same thing. It's the same case, same scenario as our other coins, but we do have some levels that we're taking a look at. So for this one, we have a 1 into a 2, down for a 3, up for a 4, and down for a 5. This one does have great alternation too, because we have a long regular flat, and then we have a quick WXY for the 4, and then we're working on that final impulse down for a 5. You know, this one kind of it the arguments for these counts is that when it comes to the yearly open, we expect a pivot here. It's just what kind of pivot are we going to get? Are we going to get that short B zigzag? Are we going to get that big B flat? Or was this finally completed? Was this finally on like most of our counts, a potential WXYXZ or WXY? Are these moves finally done? Are we finally going to finish these moves and pivot on out of here? We're just not too sure yet. It's a little meaningless to put weight behind such a large long-term count, but we have validation zones and we have levels and we have our counts to be aware of what to expect. So we're not going to stamp any kind of more probable count over the other at this time. Once we get a little more closer to this zone and these zones, we'll definitely have more a better idea where we are in a longer time frame. But you know, regardless, we're expecting a large pivot here once we finish this leg down. We're working on the last final leg for most of our coins here, and we expect a big pivot. How big of a pivot we get, it just depends. Now, same with this one, where Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other coins, we look at this as a potential expanded flat structure still, where we still had a three-wave move. We're working on our final three-wave move, and then we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So everything's lining up for most of our assets here, especially the ones that are traded with the most volume, and that's what Wave really is mostly is about crowd psychology and stuff like that. So these counts are very valid. Now we just got to kind of see if we can narrow down which one is the more probable. Unfortunately, with Uniswap, there really is nothing to catch it down here once again besides just fib levels because this was just such a massive run up, just absolutely no retrace from 15 cents up to $8, massive. So really the only thing to catch it if this was just a ABC, the only thing that would catch it is just these fibs right here. That's the only thing that'll catch this. And then we'll have to look at, obviously any kind of indicators help give us some leading indicators help give us some clues as well. But I like this idea that our counts are going to finish here, this final impulse. It doesn't make sense with the current structure of our economy though, because you know we could talk about the the economy here for a good long while. The only thing that I want to stress is I don't think that we're at a point yet where the Fed will start to, you know, decrease rates or even pausing rate hikes and stuff like that. So I do expect a pivot here, but I don't think it'll be the pivot where we have we're starting our next impulse leg up for the bull markets. That's the only downside to these counts is that we can get them to finish beautifully on these last legs, but given the state of our economies and what's going on here, I'm not sure if it will be that final leg. I think it'll just be a B bounce. It just depends. We still have a lot to a lot of time and a lot of information and data, and there's still a lot of time left. We still got at least a quarter, a few months. BNB. Let's take a look at BNB. BNB, I have it as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The primary that I kind of have it for is WXY, where we had a W, X, and then we're working on the Y. We do have some target areas right here. We only just have that weekly naked puck and the 382 and the 3414, but this is still such a strong level. It's a 382. It's going to be a strong level right here. We're going to expect a bounce, somewhat of a bounce. How high of a bounce we'll get, we don't know. Once again, but we do expect a bounce here from the zone. The second count that I've seen, or I'm looking at right now, is actually ending diagonal. I think this looks great, but you know, once again, it just falls into that camp where we'll have just a B bounce right here because this will just be an A. We come back down to this zone right here for the C. And it's still possible for this 4 because we don't like to see the 4s hit the point 0.5, but it is still very likely that the 4s hit the point 0.5. And it could kind of play off of how this one was shallow and this one will be deeper and longer in time. So twice in length and twice the strength, essentially. So we would have some alternation there to play off of. But once again, it just means that we're just expecting more downside. And we're aware of this. We're not putting weight behind it, but that's the only way we can fit this ending diagonal into any counts if it was part of an A leg. There is no other way to fit this into accounts. But I do think this one is a little bit more likely here. And once again, this one would be a puzzle to our other legs. So if this happened to be a bounce up, this could just be A leg for the flat, the B leg for a flat, and then we come back down for a C leg for the flat. Either a running flat or expanded flat. The lower time frame count for this one has been a little difficult. We can get to finish right here, but just like with our other assets, we're not sure if this is done right now or if it still has to finish this and then have another leg up. Because I mean, the only way I can count this, even with even we'll take a look at Matic next, but same thing with Matic. I can only really do like 1 2 1 2 a 1 2, or if this was a diagonal for a 1, expanded flat for a 2, and then we're working on a 1 2, and then we come back down for the 3 4 3 4. It's just not it's not clean right now. It's not very. I can't discern which one is more probable at this time yet. Truthfully, I can't. And if it's not clear to me, I'm not going to trade it yet. But this does look like a three-way structure right here. So we could call this a 2, or that could just be an A leg for a flat right there. That's what we're afraid of actually is this one right here. So right now the smaller time frame pivots aren't that clear. We were aware of these rejection zones, but now that we're in this area, we're not too sure of the subwave counts yet, at least for this assets for BNB and Matic. We're gonna take a look at GMT first, just because it's right below BNB, and then we'll take a look at Matic. GMT is a young asset too, just like with Uniswap. It's a very, very, very young asset, but we do have it starting in Impulse. So it has a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for an intermediate one because it's a lot younger than Uniswap and BNB. So we only have this as an intermediate degree right here. And then we're looking at this as a ABC structure where this was a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for this A, W, X, Y for this B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the C. And it is somewhat bottlenecking a little bit, just like with B&B. It's kind of just bottlenecking. With B&B, it's a diagonal, but this one is more of a bottleneck. So it's kind of is reminiscent that we do expect some large pivot right out of this zone afterwards, because usually when you see bottlenecking, literally just like with triangles, it's just going to bounce right out of that zone immediately, just like with right here. It contracted for a good while and then bounced right out of it. It already took this naked zone, so we'll take that away. But just like that was a good area right there that we're looking for. Now, it did go a lot deeper than I expected. And that's okay. It really is, because it still doesn't break any rules here. Our three is still the largest. It's just a matter of getting this to end. I'm not sure if I can get this one to end yet, because this is a one, two, three, four, and we could be working on a five. We're we're waiting for that, or it could have ended, and we'd have to fish out a small four wave right here. The only thing is now we have to look at this as trying to get it to start impulsively. And that's the thing, is if you want to get the count to end, you got to start looking at, well, can I get to start impulsively? Can I get this leg to start, like as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into an ABC, and then another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up? Right now, I don't really see it. I can see this as a WXY right here because of this massive wick. I call that an A into B into C for W. This is an X. This would be a Y. And this could be just an A leg for a flat, once again, just like on all the other small time frame counts. Then we're looking at a complex B, and then we come up for a impulse for a C leg. So I think that's a little more likely, actually, now that we're talking about it, is this would be an A into a B into a C, W, X, Y. Now we gotta try to figure out this count. It kind of does look like an expanding diagonal right here for an A leg. Little overthrow on that fifth leg. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fifth looks longer than the third. Third looks longer than the one. Fourth looks longer than the two. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I'm just trying to get a point across that we can't really get this to start impulsively. And then what do we got here? I mean, we might even have to look at this as another WXY. But like I said, I don't want to spend too much time on this. The main point was that we can't really get this to start impulsively, and if we can't get to start impulsively, we're not gonna expect a massive pivot yet, like one of these pivots where we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're not gonna expect that yet. Matic. So Matic's a little bit crazier. Matic does have some crazy swings. We were waiting for this big pulse up, and we were waiting for this rejection down, which we did get. Same thing with Matic here. It's a matter of, is this two in right here, or is this two not in yet? We're not too sure. But the large account for Matic, I do have it as a one into a two. So we got a one right here. Then we got the two. Now it's a matter of where we're looking for this to end, where the structure is. We do want it to end right here at this 20 to 25 cent zone, right here, this zone, because we do have a weekly order block, a monthly naked level, the 382 fib, and also we do have some fib lining up right here, especially for our C leg. So there will be a lot of support here. I would expect a good bounce from this zone. Once again, how high of the bounce we get and what type of bounce we do get, we won't know until we're kind of in the meat of it yet. We'll have to be kind of in this area because we'll be able to gauge the strength of this leg to see if it's like this, or if it's like this, or if it's like this. But for right now, I do have this as a 1 into 2 with a WXY for this 2 leg, where we had a W, X, and then we're still working on the Y. Same thing, this is kind of almost bottlenecking in a way. Not as hardcore as BNB or GMT, but it's still bottlenecking in a sense. And, you know, we could potentially, actually no, we can't fit it into any kind of diagonal because it exceeded this high. Usually with a diagonal, if this was a 1, two can never go past that 1. So actually we would not be able to label this a diagonal, but we can still at least look at this. It could be a falling wedge, or it's just bottlenecking down, and we expect a big pump out of these zones. But for right now, on the smaller time frame with Matic, just like I was talking about, like a 1 2 1 2 1 2. I just can't really get this to start impulsively to the downside. It'd be a 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. it's a it's a lot. I mean, it could be just a diag right here. There's potential for that. Where this is a 1, this is a 2. Then we're working on a 3. There is potential for that, but it just doesn't look very clean for me right now. And I'm not sure if even this diagonal is even completely valid. It does look like this fifth wave is a lot larger than this third wave. Maybe no. Yeah, it's just not super clean right now. I have to wait for just a little bit more data here to make a better informed decision. But we've got a clear zone that we're waiting for, and a bounce from a clear zone that we had too. And once again, here we go. A monthly order block and a weekly engulfing order block. What do we expect? A rejection first, and we got that rejection immediately. Just another piece of evidence that we usually, with these higher order blocks, we expect rejections first before we come back to fill it either entirely or halfway. But yeah, for Matic, we're looking at the 20 to 25 cent zone right here. We do have a lot of confluence here for a bounce. Let's see, Ave, yeah, that'll be the last one I'm gonna do here. I haven't really updated the other ones, and they're not as clear where I can have a little more weight to it. Even with this one with Ave, it's just a little iffy, but it's still valid. So that's the only thing. We talk about validity a lot. So with this one, it's just we don't like WXYXZs. They're just not very. They don't really happen very often. They're super rare. It's for such a large, long time frame. It's it's just unlikely. It's not very probable, but it's still valid. So we're gonna take a look at it. So for this one, Ave, we're looking at this whole downward structure as a W, X, Y, Z, where this was a W, X, Y, X, and then a Z. Now, it's following this channel here pretty beautifully, and I'm not sure if this A leg is done yet, where we have an A, then we're going to work on a B, then we come down for the C, or if we still have just one more push down here for this A leg, then we come up for this B, and then we push down hard for the C. With this one, I would almost expect us to take back this whole weekly order block right here. And we do have a daily order block right here at the very end of this weekly one. But If this A leg was done right here, then I would expect a rejection here from this zone. Maybe in and off of this middle trend line again, depends. Or we just regardless, I do expect it. If this A leg was done, and we come up for this B leg, then I would expect this C leg to just bounce right off this weekly order block. Would be one of the deeper tracements and pretty much hit the 886. It would hit the 1236, the first target zone for our Z. We are aware of the 1.13. Doesn't get hit very often. Usually for Zeds, the first one is going to be that 1236, but we are aware of the 1.13 if it is a weak C leg. And it would make sense too. So if that C leg kind of bounced from this trend line area again, then it probably would be the 113 and come up here. But we do expect it to kind of come down to this zone first. So that's what I got for this one. For the Wednesday stream, for this week's Wednesday stream, I'll try to update some other altcoins, and we'll look at the recent price action for these counts too. But I'll try to look at some dots, link, and Sol, and I think I even have counts on XRP and Mana. I'm just not too confident on these ones personally. I do have them, but I'm not too confident on these ones per se. Actually, I mean, this one still looks very clean. It's the same thing though. So we have a 1 into a 2, primary 2. This is a W, X, running flat X with an ending diagonal, and then we're working on a Y. You know what? I might even have to print this structure. This might be one of the rare structures here. A running flat. Actually, no. This is a truncated regular flat ending diagonal. That's why I wasn't too confident on this, was just because of this structure here solely. But we could even look at this alternatively, just like with the other counts where this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That could be possible too. But I do have a clear level here, at least for mana. This weekly order block right here, from 32 cents to 18 cents. It is a large zone, but once again, we would expect a rejection off of the zone immediately. And even if it did take back this whole weekly order block, I think that'd be fine with me too, because it'd be right at the end of the golden pocket right here. Sometimes things just line up too cleanly where it's not a coincidence. And once is incidence, twice is a coincidence, three times is a pattern. It just makes too much sense that it wouldn't bounce from that zone right there. Nope, that was wrong. 0.2274. That's what I was looking for. And then once again, right here, I mean, initially we would expect a bounce right away, because usually it does bounce right from these zones. But if it does happen to come down, then we can't expect it to come right down to this area. What's the 1.618 right here? Oh, it's a little too deep. Yeah, this still is valid. It's just maybe not probable right now. This whole leg right here is kind of iffy to me right now, but still a valid count. That's the only thing that matters, and that's what we talk about a lot is validity. And given the strength of this one, I'd actually more believe that we would actually take back this initially, because this looks like a deep one right here, where it could be a 1, 2, three, four, five. Very unlikely it's like a one, two, three, four, five, unless it was potentially at even an end diagonal. We can't expect that. At least it's a sea leg. We don't plan for it. We can be aware of it, but we don't plan for it because it doesn't happen very often. But given the strength of this leg right here, it leads me to believe that this would happen this way, just like that. And then once again, how high of a bounce we get here, we don't know. Could be that massive B bounce. Could be just a start of an impulse for a one, two, three. Just depends. But we have levels on the chart, and just like I talked about with crypto, one of the last few streams, we've got levels, and then we take a look at the direction. We look at Elliott wave, then we tie in classical and technical analysis, and then make a plan and then trade that plan. So we do have a lot of clear levels here. We're going to see how they develop here over the next few weeks and the next month or so, and then come revisit again and try to see how the plan is going along. But let me just take a look at how price action is going along right now really quickly. And while I'm doing this, I'll see if anyone has any questions for me too. So if you have any questions, go ahead and start just popping them in the chat. If not, then you can always just IM me, like I say all the time. I'm always happy to answer all your guys' questions anytime during the day. Two, three, four. Hmm, maybe a one, two. Might have to see it go to the end of this time constraint. I think this is the four times right here is where I've got four times the length of A. And like I say, when it comes to B legs, that can happen. And it's looking like it's going to do that. Unless unless we want to look at this as being finished as an A, B, C. It just looks very weak compared to the other A, B, Cs. It just doesn't seem very likely either. Eh, it's valid, but it's not very probable and doesn't have the right look compared to the other legs. So I would still expect it to pop down here. Come retest this area, then come back down. And I would expect it to be looking like a regular flat. I mean, we do plan for regular flats first if we're looking at any flat, but given how we're getting so close to, a potential time constraints, I think it's unlikely that it'll have the necessary time to develop an extended wave down here like this into the expanded flat zone. It's more likely we'll have a quick impulse down for a regular flat. And we do expect regular flats over expanded flats first because they're the most likely flat pattern to occur of all the three flat patterns. Not too sure on this one here. I think it's more likely we're seeing a flat over a local impulse sort of zigzag. Yeah, I think it's more likely than that. I think it's more likely we have a local flat. Second most likely is that this was an ABC and we finished at 2. Now it's a matter of trying to figure out this mess after it develops. And then third most likely is that a deep zigzag or this is a local impulse where it's a 1 into a 2. That'd be the third most likely here. Let's see, from a fundamental perspective, if this whole move down turns out to be just an A wave with everything that's happened since last year, I'm really curious what could possibly bring us even lower than A, whatever that pivot ends up being, without collapsing the market for good. Yeah, that is a great that is a great question. And once again, right now there may be no it's a moot conversation to kind of be thinking this far ahead, like be thinking almost a year and a half or a year ahead. It's not really there's no weight behind this conversation. It's fun conversation discussion, but it's a moot conversation because we don't have uh, any real variables and factors to take into consideration that could bring us that low. I mean, we could hypothesize what if Russia wins the war, or China expands, or I mean they are kind of playing around with that kind of stuff as it is right now. So I mean, I'm sure we could find an excuse later when the time comes. I mean, there's always going to be an excuse for the news for the price action. I'm sure we could find it, but it's not really worth going over right now. But I agree. I'd be curious as well. And I also agree. I'm personally liking the idea that we're finishing a primary two soonish. It could be even March. I think it's more likely that we could dilly daddle, for this impulse down until March, even potentially, or we finish the impulse, late January, and then we diddle daddle for 2 for a whole month or so, and then we impulse up for 3 in March. So I'm more fond of that idea too. It's just an idea of fitting it into the the broader picture of the economy. Like, would it make sense for us to just start a new leg for the bull market at that time? And we can definitely entertain the idea or talk about it the closer we get to these time zones too. That'll definitely be a discussion that we'll be having. With all the FUD going on with centralized exchanges, might the DEX coins will be more interesting for the crowds like Uniswap? Yeah, that's something. It's kind of subjective, right? Because I think a lot of people don't understand that there's still not a lot of hands in crypto. So a lot of people haven't been haven't really been burnt by these breakdowns and these exchanges and have any trust issues with exchanges too. I mean, they've heard the stories, but hearing a story and being involved in a story, especially ones of these where you get liquidated automatically or your funds get frozen or they just lose your funds. I mean, that's a different thing. Hearing the story and being involved in it is two different things. So I think it wouldn't have too much weight yet, but yeah, I think it would definitely. It's definitely something to consider. Did you take a look at XRP yet? No, I've been slacking on that one. I mean, I guess we could just take a really quick look at it. XRP has just been a problem child for me. Let's take a look. So we have XRP in a 3 into a long primary 4, and that makes sense with all this contraction and overlapping price action. And given the length of XRP, how long it's been around, it makes sense to be in this degree. So that's okay. We have this as B leg right here. So WXY A, WXY B. So 5 for flat. Okay, that makes sense. The only issue here is just this 1 2 1 2 1 2. We do have a weekly order block. It's been rejecting this weekly order block. Once again, just, rejection right off of it instead of taking it immediately. Yeah, this actually looks a lot more cleaner now I come back to it. I think I actually did rework it here a while ago. I think maybe I even totally forgot about it. I think I did rework it. Yeah, this looks cleaner to me now. I would so right now we have a flat structure. So this 4, we're looking at this 4 as a flat. We have a 3 4, a 3 4, and then a 3 4. I think it would break down past this channel too. That'll be the capitulation event right here for XRP. It's just breaking down past this channel. I think it'll flirt with it here twice. First touch right there. Come back down, flirt with it again, and then break through. And let's see, where is this pull from? One, two, here. Okay, so this would be for our C leg. This is if we were expecting like a running or yeah, a running flat, but it actually wouldn't make sense because it didn't go past the A leg, so we actually wouldn't really look for this. It's very rare we ever get a truncated regular flat. That's super rare. So I don't really expect that. It looks better as a 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, as opposed to a potential ending diagonal, because I did see potential 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, where it was just a diagonal. Maybe that could just be the one that we're looking for that's over here. We can actually move that over potentially. There's always potential for that, but I think it makes more sense right here, or it looks better as a 1-2, 1-2. Doesn't look as clean over this middle structure though. Now that I'm looking at it here, this middle structure 1-2 doesn't look as clean. It did it break up into that price territory? It did. Okay. Yeah. I'd have to leave it like this. Just label this so we understand it's for the C leg. Probably looking for this right here for the C leg at the 134, 1382. Would expect this one to be an extended 3, or maybe not that extended, but at least a 2618 is what I was looking for. Yeah, that's what I see for XP for right now, at least. And even if this count isn't super clear, the overall structure still looks super clear. Still looks like an A into B, and then work on a C right here. So this looks like a clean structure right here. From a higher time frame perspective. Let's see what other kind of questions we got here. Hey Larry, did you get to my question yet? Let's see. Oh, sorry, AK. Let me see your question. On the way down, do you have any space to include my fib-based targets in your charts? I've thought a lot about these ones, got them from 7 different polls. So let's see, you're looking at, oh, this is Bitcoin? Okay, let's go back to Bitcoin here. You're looking at the 15 to 14,750. That's where you're looking for. And then 14 to about 13.8. So 15 to 14,750. Yeah, we've got some stuff there. What we got there? I think all we actually did have was basically just these fib levels and these naked levels. I think that's, yeah, my Genesis fib levels down below. Yeah, that's really, I don't have too much here for this zone other than fib levels and a monthly level and my Elliott wave. And then the lower zone that you're looking at, the 14 to 13.8, I don't have anything here really where I would catch it. This is kind of no man's land for me. Hope that answered your question. Sorry if it was too, or if it didn't give you what you wanted. But yeah, I really don't have anything down to your lower targets, but the upper target I do. It's just more on the upper side of it than the lower side that you're looking for, because I know you're looking at the potential 14.8 as well. Let's see. 3 cent XRP. Yeah, baby. 3 cents. Anybody else have any more questions here though for me while I'm here? If not, no big deal. Like I say, you guys can always message me throughout the week. I'm always happy to answer questions whenever I can. I try to do it within the hour. If not, I'll definitely do it that day. But yeah, 3 cents XRP, Bitcoin to negative 8K. Yeah, Pi. I'll try to get to the dot update here soon. It's kind of like I said, it's a lot just updating counts, but also I'm trying to trade some of these counts too, and I want to manage my trades and be aware of what's going on. But I definitely try to update these counts for you guys whenever I can, so that way we can all be aware of what's going on and have a game plan. It'll be exciting to see how these counts develop here in the next few weeks and next month or so. So that'll be pretty fun to take a look at. I'm sure I'm sure a few of the accounts will get invalidated. Maybe we'll take a look at that when we get to it. But I do love when a plan comes together, so it'll be pretty nice to see some of the stuff line up here next month or two. You know what I mean? Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. Good point, bye. I do see a few people typing here though, so I'll just give it a minute or two while they type away, see if they do have any questions or if they're just making some nice comments. Just saying thanks. Oh yeah, I appreciate it, guys. No problem. Yeah, definitely appreciate that, guys. Thanks, MT. Thanks, Maddox, AK, William, Pi. I definitely appreciate the kind comments. Like I say, guys, I'm always here for you. So if you ever have any questions, even if it's not Elliott Wave, I mean, I've got a lot of knowledge other than just Elliott Wave. I just happen to specialize in Elliott Wave. So if you ever have any questions too, about market structure or anything like that too, harmonics or fibs, anything, just let me know. But hope you guys have a good day. Thanks for hanging out with me. And once again, it's going to be exciting to see how these accounts develop here in the future. But I'll definitely always keep you guys informed immediately in the Discord right away, so you guys know what's going on right away if we have any change in the accounts. But I always appreciate you guys hanging out with me, and I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Catch y'all later.